Okay, and we are live. So we are live on Voices of Strength. We have a couple people coming on to our broadcast. We'll give this a couple minutes before we get started. We are doing episode 5 of the Voices of Strength series, where we are sharing our stories of those who were victims to police killings. And we are hearing the stories directly from the family members, the impacted families. So today we are talking about the story of Antonio Lopez Guzman, and we are hearing from Laurie Valdez. So we will get started in just a minute and we will get her introduced. Anybody here, as always, thank you for being here, and feel free to go ahead and share this for us. If you are an impacted family member, go ahead and also say hello to us. Share your loved one's name in the comments and share this live feed for us. I'm gonna go ahead and share these in a couple places. If you guys could do the same, we would appreciate that. So we have a few people on right now. I'm gonna get this shared in one more place right now. And then we will say hello to Laurie. So thank you to everybody who's on, and just a reminder for those viewing, right now it is 5:05 p.m. in California, PST. If anybody catches this later, we will, just want to give you a heads up that we might not respond back to your comments, as this is being recorded live right now. Anybody who leaves comments with us right now, we will get back to them. After we do some talking, we'll reference back to the comments. If you guys have questions, feel free to drop them. All right, so we are live, episode 5. We got Laurie Valdez with us. Laurie, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Thanks, Marissa, for having me. And thank you for everybody who's joining us today. First of all, my name is Laurie Valdez, and I was a partner of Antonio, and we had our 4-year-old son, Josiah. Josiah was 4 when his dad was killed, and Angelique was 10. And Antonio raised Angelique since she was 3 years old. So Angelique basically had more time knowing Josiah than his own son. But for those of you that don't know, on February 21st, 2013, a phone call was made by a young man who said Antonio was walking through campus with a knife, acting weird, and told the police. So supposedly he called, but then in the report, he says he walks into the UPD. So that's still unclear who called, or if it was even really a call or anything. But anyways, the 2 officers, Hoek and Mike Santos, they supposedly in the beginning, they both him off campus. And then later on in the story, Hoek got pushed and he was at the library, which is a further distance. And then Mike Santos showed up, and right from the get-go, they were yelling commands at him, not trying to talk to him. And Hoek gets in front of Antonio and tasers him, and then tells Santos, shoot him, without any reason, really, of them having to do that. Antonio was not lunging at the officers. There was 2 women witnesses who I spoke with after this, and one lived in the apartments right above where it happened, and she took pictures of the scene of what she saw. And the pictures she gave me were not the pictures that were shown all over, the media. And then the young girl that I spoke to, she was walking across the street from where it happened. And she said that she, you know, saw Antonio, but he wasn't threatening at all or anything. Like, and then when she got closer to where they were at, she heard the 3 gunshots. And she jumped behind a tree and she looked, and she had her camera on or her phone, and she was taking pictures or did a video. And she had left a note under a candle that was at the tree. And she said, for the family of Antonio, can you please call me? I have some information. So I called her and I asked her, told her thank you for reaching out, but also I told her that if she had information, that I wanted to know the truth, whether it was going to hurt me or not, whether it was something I wanted to hear or not. I just needed to know the truth of what happened, because what the media was saying was not in Antonio's demeanor to behave that manner, especially with officers. So when I told her that, she says, no, she goes, they're lying. She says he was completely innocent. He didn't do anything wrong. And she told me it was a tall white cop who was not in uniform. And he saw her and she freaked out and she took off walking the opposite way towards the university. She was actually going to the university, but that happened. So she turned around and went the opposite way because she got afraid, because that one blonde officer caught her taking pictures or stuff, and she thought, you know, they were going to harass her. And yeah. And so after that, we were supposed to meet up so she could give me what she had. And she like dropped off the face of the earth. Like, she wouldn't answer calls. She ended up blocking her Facebook. And I happened to have got a screenshot of her Facebook page the day that Antonio, that happened. And she even says it there, you know, that she couldn't believe that she saw a man get killed right in front of her eyes. And she was talking about Antonio. And then she's interacting with a few people and she says he was completely innocent. He did nothing wrong. And for whatever reason, I screenshotted that, but then it was disappeared. Everything just disappeared. She disappeared. Nobody ever interviewed her. And she was one of the main witnesses that, you know, they never got her statement. But her boyfriend, he makes a statement in a police report, and he says he blames me for her getting afraid because I was trying to force her to tell my 4-year-old son details of what happened and how they killed his dad. And she didn't want to do that. And I was like, what? You know, it was like, I would never do that. But so, and she had told me when I talked to her that her boyfriend was real close friends with all the UPD.
Okay.
So that told me right there, you know, her and her boyfriend ended up actually breaking up a month and a half after got killed.
So we have a clear example of a witness that witnessed Antonio being killed, and that disputed their narrative for you. How soon did you say it was since you heard from her? Was that immediately that she left that note?
Yeah, so the note was left there like right when he was killed. I got the note like maybe a week later. She said, she told me she would go by there every day and she would light the she left white candle there and she would light it every day when she would pass by there. And so you know, like she just felt like she had to tell the family what happened. And then she had agreed. We talked for a good like 35, but I could hear in her voice of what she witnessed. She was scared. And the fact that they were police and her boyfriend was close friends with the police, it really scared her that she had information. And she even told her boyfriend she saw and that she had pictures or a video. And he was trying to convince her to give it to the police. And so I think that's actually why they ended up breaking up, because her boyfriend was trying to force her to do something she didn't feel was right. And she wanted to give it to me, but she ended up just moving to Seattle and disappearing, broke up with him and disappeared. And she never gave a statement. The attorneys for them, my attorney, nobody, the district attorney, the police, the homicide investigator, nobody tried to make any effort to find her and get her statement. And I gave them her name. I even showed them screenshots of what she had said, but nobody made that effort. So
that is crazy. So for people that aren't familiar with police killings, I know there are a lot of impacted families that will be watching, but for the people that aren't, I just want to really point out that this is something that often happens when the police kill. They want to get rid of any witnesses that, you know, will not, their accounts will not be in their favor. So I think for us families, I know myself, and, you know, just like you're mentioning now, we had to do our own work to get information. And you know, it's scary to think that the police could scare people away from telling the truth of what they've seen, but it's a reality, as you're sharing right now, Laurie.
yeah. So the neighbors, all the neighbors that right there in the apartment complex, the ones that were home, there was one that I went to her house, and she said that her little girl, who was 4 years old at the time, was looking out the window, and she said, "Mommy, look at the cops. They're gonna kill a man, right?" And she goes, "What?" And she went to the window, and right at the time she went to the window is when she saw them shoot Antonio, and she pushed her daughter out of the window because she didn't want her to see that, right? But she goes, then she took pictures from her window of what, you know, the scene and everything. And she said that, I remember she told me that they never were trying to do anything. And she says that they were like fixing scene, and they right away came knocking on the doors, asking people for videos, asking for their phones, being very aggressive. And she and her boyfriend denied that they were there because she was afraid. At that point in time when that was happening, she was going through a custody battle with her daughter. So she was afraid the cops, if they knew she had that, any pictures or any proof, that they would use that to harm her case in her custody battle with her daughter, right? And so, but she told me that they were being very aggressive. They were like demanding to see everybody's phones. There's another family who, he's undocumented, a Mexicano, and he said they didn't answer their door because, number one, they saw everything, and they didn't want the cops to harass them or try to deport them because he was the only sole supporter of his family. And even like maybe 6 months when I went to the tree to decorate for Antonio, I saw him, and he, you know, told me, he goes, "Gosh," he goes, "it hurts me." He goes, "I see your son, he's getting so big. Remember when you first brought him here, he was so little, and he's big now, and it hurts that he's growing up, you know." And he told me it was really wrong what they did. He didn't do nothing. He was completely innocent. They held him like a dog in the street. He goes, and it hurt me because he could have been my son, you know. And I asked the man, would he give a statement of what he saw, right? And he said he was sorry. He goes, "But I can't." He goes, "Because I don't have papers, and if I do that, they might try to deport me, and then what'll happen to my family, you know?" So I understood it, and I didn't push it. And also with that girl Larissa, when she told me all that, I called her. She wasn't there, but I didn't push the issue because I could hear the fear in her voice of what she had witnessed, you know. So it basically, we had to do our canvassing. We had to find out what was, you know, who saw what. But there's like, it's still coming out. Some people are saying, "Oh, I remember that. I was there. I lived down the street from there." So there are other witnesses, but they never came forward.
That's yeah. So just to remind people, you know, this is happening because they are scared to be targeted by police, and they've already seen what they are capable of and have done to Antonio. Laurie, I want to get to the video because for viewers there, you know, there is a video that shows what they did, and I want you to share how you obtained that, and just that, what you had to go through to get that. And then also I want to touch on these two officers involved, and you know, I know that one of them for sure has other kills, right? Mike Santos.
Yeah, but that's a different Mike Santos.
Is it a different
That's
one?
the one from, yeah, it's the one
Okay.
from San Jose PD.
Okay, so there's two different ones.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, go ahead and share that.
Was I supposed to share again?
about what you had to go through to obtain the video, and the gag order too. I would like to share that.
Yeah, so he was killed. There was 2 body cameras. There's also cameras. Actually, there's 3 body cameras. There's the 2 officers involved and a female officer who was there. And there was also the dash cam from the vehicles, right? Nobody's ever seen. So during the beginning of the case, we would ask, like, get all the information, whatever. And then the fall 2015, a year after he was killed, there was a National Action Against Police Brutality October 22nd event in New York City where Quentin Tarantino went out there and was talking about people being killed by police, and he got a lot of backlash about that because the cops were like saying, oh, he makes all these violent movies and he's over here talking about this, because he called out 4 cases and he went on MSNBC National and he talked about the 4 cases that he was referring to, that the murdered were murdered and the murderers were murderers. And he made it very clear that he was talking about 4 specific cases, and that was Antonio, Tamir Rice, Freddie Gray, and Sam Dubois. Out of all the 4 cases that he mentioned nationally, Antonio's case was the one that went silent and was put on a gag order immediately after that happened. So then that point, we weren't able to get no video, to show nothing, to get people, like, to see what they did to Antonio. It wasn't until, a lot of us families, we went lobbying, and we were trying to, get police accountability. We were trying to hold them. So we did that. We worked on SB 1421, was with the right to know. And that was when it got signed into law. That was when I was able to get 1 video released and some documentation from his case after 6 years, though. So for 6 years, we didn't know what they actually did to Antonio, or why, or how, like, what happened. And, it's still very hard to see that, how the majority of the public, they see that video and they said, well, he shouldn't have run. Or this and that, but people need to pay attention to his body language. He was not aggressive. He was looking down. He also said, it's okay, like he's leaving, right? And before the video was even released, I had told a few people, in the community, my friends, I told them I told them he would do one of 2 things in the incident where police approach him, because they would always approach him. He would either say, it's okay, or yes, sir, to them. And, that was one of the things I tell him. Don't say a word in English, because they're going to assume you understand, and you're going to be agreeing to something you don't even understand what they're telling you, really, but you're just thinking that's compliance, so you're going to do it, right? But what's sad is that 6 months prior to Antonio's death, he was beaten in the same vicinity, further up, closer to downtown, by 6 officers, and they were from the different police departments. It was from the sheriffs, the San Jose PD, and the UPD. And they beat him so bad, he was, and they arrested him, took him to jail, and then they had to take him to the Valley Medical Hospital to put a tube in his lungs, because he was choking on his blood, because that's how bad they beat him. And so once he went to the hospital and they did that, they just released him. Right, but he remembers the officer who had already, caught him. Somebody called and said he was going through their garbage, or I don't know, he was going through their recycles, but they were saying he was trespassing, whatever. So the officer who already had him in handcuffs on the floor was standing up above him while the other 5 officers were beating the shit out of him. And I remember Antonio telling me, I looked up at him and he looked like he was, like he was feeling sorry, like he knew this was wrong, but he did nothing to stop it. But Antonio remembered the car number, right? He goes, it was that guy, the officer was driving the car, and he said the car number, and he ever since that day, he would tell me, Chaparra, you're going to kill me. These cops don't want me here. They am a fucking wetback. Go back to med school. If you want to be here, you need to learn how to speak English. They sexually, but the beating up is so demeaning to him, like it didn't dehumanize him or make him feel bad, but he didn't feel as and awful as what they did. They stuck their hand between his butt cheeks and they said, how do you like it? You're going to be somebody's bitch in jail, you fucking wetback.
Wow.
And I was like, what? So he knew they were going to kill him. He said, they're going to kill me. They don't want me here. They don't want me here. And I didn't want, and I said, I used to tell him, you're crazy. They can't kill you just because you're from Mexico. You have rights, right? And then 6 months later, he gets killed.
My goodness, Laurie, that is so horrible. My goodness, it's disgusting. I want, this is the 5th episode that we've done just with this show, but as you and I both know a ton of other families. I see a common theme of some of these men have already been assaulted and brutalized prior to being killed by police. And thank you for hitting the part of, that people saying, well, he shouldn't have ran, but these men have already been brutalized, terrorized, and they know what's capable. So especially when they've already been hurt, it also gets me to wondering, on my mind a lot is some people somewhat keep track of the killings, but I cannot even imagine how many people have been brutalized that, don't say anything, that just keep that to themselves. How many people are truly being harmed by police, even every day? It's an unimaginable number.
Yeah, and the thing is, it happens like in San Jose. There's a history of the police, San Jose PD violence against the community. And it's just like, it's it's been done for so long to so many people that it's just like, people don't say nothing because they know nothing's going to be done. And this is just the way it's been. And, so many people have said, oh, that cop's dirty. He got me here. He took me to this neighborhood on purpose and left there. And, they beat the shit out of me. And then, like these cops are cops that aren't even from our community. So they don't even have a connection with us. So they're not going to respect a community or protect them if they don't have that connection. They don't understand the culture of the different, communities that are within that city. So it's really, and the Mexican culture, a lot of it is they stay quiet because if they're undocumented, they're afraid of getting, so they allow the abuse to happen because they think they don't have the right to speak up and defend themselves,
Yeah, it's horrible. It's not how people are supposed to be treated here in the United States or anywhere, but it's a lot that goes on in this country that people don't realize. Let's go ahead and, I think about how long. Okay, I want to share real quick with everybody that Laurie is one of the first impacted family members that I met in person almost 4 years ago now. I know I met you just after my brother was killed, and Laurie has always been helpful, very helpful to me and other family members. And she started Justice for Josiah. So do you want to share, you'd hit that differently. Usually people are saying justice for the one who died. And you were saying justice for Josiah, yours and Antonio's son. So can you share a little bit about that with us?
Okay. So how, the reason I put justice for Josiah is because the type of father Antonio was. He would always want his kids to come first. It wasn't about him. And since he was dead, he would want his son to be taken care of, make sure he's going to be okay without him. So I said, I realized there's no more justice for Antonio. He's gone. He's dead. There's nothing in this world that's going to give him justice. But our son, who was 4 at the time, I knew I had to get justice, that this couldn't be left like that because my son had to grow up fatherless. The day they took his dad, they took his sense of safety, his innocence, his father. And you know what? We can't give him his dad or his innocence back, but his sense of safety, we have to do something to make sure that children feel safe and they're not living in fear because of what cops did to their parents, and so Justice Josiah was was originated from that, because these kids are children who will be, like, they could fall through the cracks because nobody understands. Our teachers are not trauma informed. Nobody talks about the trauma and the aftermath that police violence causes the families, but the small children that are left behind, nobody talks about it. And when you do talk about it, people will say, well, oh, it's too political to get involved in that. And that really is disturbing, because helping children heal from trauma should never be a political reason as to why you don't do something to make it change, to help bring the healing they so need, And so Josiah is just a representative. Just for Josiah is for my son, but it's for every child who has lost their father or their mother to police violence, who will be ignored in their communities, because they'll do for, homeless kids, the kids who have parents incarcerated. They'll do it for, foster care kids, but the kids impacted by police violence, nobody ever acknowledges them. And these kids need help. They need counseling, because they're people in the community just want to push the idea on these kids that cops are good people, when these children have lost a parent to them, and it's a big dynamic, because you can't tell my son, a cop can't come up to my son and automatically be trusted. That's not easy for him. So, Josiah has made cops feel like monsters. They've even told me, your son looks at me like I'm a monster. And I said, well, you are. Your uniform represents the monster that took his dad from him. So, and that's the reason it's important. We have to acknowledge the children, have to let people know justice can never be upheld for any person that's been taken. Justice would be having them alive here with us. And that's never going to happen. So we have to think about the children. And that's why Just for Josiah. So I've started that, and I've always advocated for the children suffering trauma in the aftermath and the healing they need. And so that's why on Christmas, I do a special Christmas from Heaven event. This is my 4th year doing it. And it's for the children of police violence who are left behind. And we come together. I have people who would support me. I have sponsors. We have food. We have Santa. We usually have, and the kids all get sponsored gifts. And it's just a time where the family, all can be in the same place and know that every child in there has gone through the same thing they have, but they're not alone. And it's like an extended family, like they're all growing up together and they feel safe. Like, I was happy, like when you told me about Jace, I made me emotional what he mentioned, to his teacher, because that means a lot to me. I want these kids to know that they are loved and that we do care about them, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure we help them heal, that they don't fall through the cracks.
Yeah, and I want to just share with the people that are listening and watching us. My son is Jace, and what I shared with Laurie yesterday was his teacher, we meet with him once a month, and he asked him what he's excited about, what might be coming up, and he mentioned the Christmas event that we go to. Laurie has invited us out ever since I met her, so they've helped just give this time and get some gifts to my nieces who lost their dad, and also my son, who is close to my brother. And yeah, so that's what Laurie's talking about. And I honestly get a little emotional thinking about this, because a lot of people, like Laurie shared, a lot of people we don't think about the kids. And I mean, sometimes it's even us families that when we're put into this tragedy and we're just going, I know the kids are often there, they're silently hurting, and they see us hurting. I know some of the children in my family are quiet about it and holding it in. And that's never going to end up good. Any trauma held in like that. And so many families and children suffering from PTSD of what they've been through with our tragedies and how our families have been done. So thank you, Laurie. I cannot wait to see you in a couple weeks and the other families who will be joining. My family looks forward to it, and she gets down. She has volunteers that come through for the kids, and it's just really a nice time. So thank you.
No problem. That's what we're here for, to help the kids, you know? We're a big family. We're a family tragedy, right? Well, not by blood, but by tragedy. And we have to be there for each other, you know? And we have to remember, we're there for the kids. We have to be bigger than, you know, and always protect them, always advocate and make sure that their healing is possible, so they don't grow up to be the broken men and women that'll end up doing something violent because nobody cared to heal their trauma. You know, nobody cared to listen. And I want these kids to know we listened, we cared. And whenever, you know they can reach out, that we're going to be that place where we're going to try to do whatever we can. And just for Josiah, we're going to plan another healing retreat. We had one a few years back, and, you know, a lot of the families had come out, and it was a one-day retreat. That's when Colin Kaepernick had given $10,000 for that retreat. And you know, it was amazing, the day of healing. And it was just so much love, and the people who volunteered their skills, like to make beads and to do Reiki healing and all this stuff, yoga, you know, it was something the families needed. And it was like a weight lifted off their shoulders for that day, but also made them feel good for a while, you know. And I know it's time again for all the families to have another healing retreat. So I'll be next year, I'm going to start getting on that and organizing another healing retreat. And this one is going to be for whoever wants to come, but it's going to be focused for healing for the children, and the, you know, the mothers will have two separate, like, you know, we'll have a place where the women go, and we'll have people watching the children. So we're going to do it like someplace, maybe a camping or someplace out in the woods and open. But I have my wheels turning for that. So I'll be letting everybody know, because I know it's time for another healing retreat. I know I need one.
Yeah, I really miss seeing everybody over the, you know, over the years I've been involved. You know, just our gatherings, whatever it's been for the Capitol or an event. I miss seeing you guys.
Yeah, me too. I miss everybody too. That's why I said I wasn't sure about, you know, making the event this year. And then I talked to the church where I usually have it at, where they let me have the event. And they were wanting, you know, they were like, we can't not do this for these kids. So they are total big supporters. And so they made it possible. And we're just going to do it the best way we can, be, you know, COVID-19 compliant. We're going to make sure everybody's wearing masks, and we're going to do our best to make sure that the kids, you know that they're still loved. We're going to have we have 4 performers that'll be performing. So I'm excited. We're still able to do it, but we have new supporters who are joining, who'll be there to help and, you know, be able to see the families and meet them. And we're going to have a Zoom Zoom feed, so all the families can talk, and then sponsors that aren't able to come can meet the families, see the families, interact with the families on the Zoom. So it's going to be different, but I guarantee you we're going to have fun. We'll make it the best way we can. And it's just seeing each other is going to probably be the biggest part of it, you know, because we all need that sometimes.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it'll be good times. It'll be a little different than normal, less, you know, we usually can give lots of hugs and stuff,
Yeah.
but
And and we're usually inside in a building. Now we're going to be doing it outside in the parking lot. So it'll be nice. I know it's going to turn out good. I mean, because I'm doing it from my heart. This is done with my whole heart, you know, like this is something I had to do for the kids. And so I believe it'll come out good. I have a lot of good help supporters that have been in my corner. So they'll make sure that, you know, we make it the best for the families and the kids.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, Laurie, your hard work does not go unnoticed or unappreciated. I want to So obviously when this happens, some of us, we jump in after we realize our loved one was murdered or killed, however they were, and our life just completely changes. So I kind of want to touch on, and I know you've been out there. I don't know if you've seen, while we've been talking, I've been sharing a video that has some of the different pictures I got from your page. So we're also sharing, your activism of you being out there with the families. So I just want to get from you what it's been like with the life change of being an activist now and having to really fight for, I say we're fighting for what's right. So just kind of how that change has been. And then we know this struggle is hard, but I want maybe if you can hit a couple obstacles that you feel like are holding us back, that we're not able to get change, I guess is how I would say it from your perspective.
So yeah, it is, from my perspective, it is hard. Like we said, none of us chose to be here. So we're forced in a situation, an unfamiliar lifestyle that we didn't ask for, right? And so we're blindsided by the fact that there's so much evil in this whole process when they kill your loved one. There's so much lies, there's so much hurt, there's so much trauma, and it's like, and then you're trying to get answers, and then at the same point, then you have somebody else in your community having to, that it happened to somebody else in your community. And it's like myself, when it happened to Antonio, there was no other family that, came up to me and said, "Hey, Laurie, I know what you're going through." It was a bunch of students from San Jose State who approached me and joined me to start the Just for Josiah. And then that's when Antonio's memorial, before he was buried in, that's when I met Raj and Sharice from Debug. They showed up at his memorial, introduced themselves to me, and said they wanted to be here for support and anything I needed. So from that day, they've been by my side and still by my side, right? But it's very important that that your healing is very important, but also to know that when you put yourself and it triggers us, another person does it, but we should, and I feel it's my responsibility as a person, as a family that's been impacted, that when a new family has to join the ranks of being in this group, that the families who have been fighting already, that you go and you find that family, that you bring them in together and circle with you, that you let them know, they can call you any time of day, that you can help guide them the best way. Because all of us were thrown in this, so we didn't know how the system worked. But now, as time has gone on, we all have learned something that we can share with a newer family, and it's very important that you keep that rapport, and that bring together the families in your community that are impacted, because it's really powerful. That's how you get strength, when you get all the voices in your community that acted together to work together to really create that strong bond, and the voice united, not let organizations just represent the families and they right away want to make decisions for us but never get our input. We have to make sure that we say, no, our voices, we're the ones impacted. You're not going to go use us for your personal political gain or financial gain. It's not okay, because they will always make decisions that us families, that's not something we would want. And it's basically all the time. It happens all the time. It's because people are trying to make decisions for families, and a lot of organizations, they are to blame for all the division and hurt between the families, because they support only certain families and other families they leave out. And that's not okay, because every family suffers the same pain. It's like we all hurt, and we all know what that family is going through. So we can't just act like, oh, family's case is more important than that family's. All our cases are important. Some of us got somewhere, some of us didn't. But the ones that did get somewhere should be helping the ones that didn't, to figure out how to help them get it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's all for one and one for all. We can't just, oh, well, I got mine, and so forget about the rest. No, we have to show love and compassion and help the other ones. Like you had good luck, you know, like your case got high recognition. How come you don't use your platform of your loved one's case to shed light on the other people in your community who didn't? That would be, you know, that's one of the things really disturbing, that a lot of families only go for the, you know, community like organizations. They do the high profile, but how about the ones that don't even get recognized? You don't think they're worthy of being, you know?
Yeah, Laurie, I want to let you know that on the live stream on Facebook, you're getting lots of hearts and reactions right now to what you're just sharing. So I totally 100% agree. And this is, you know, it's a topic, it's something that not a lot of people are willing to say. And I agree, though. I 100%, 1000% agree. Um, I know even though with my brother's case, and I know with your family too, you know, you've been out there pushing like yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, in every way. And, you know, a lot of times I don't have help. I've never had anybody help with anything on my brother's case or assistance or anything. And, even besides that, I still do what I can to help and support other families, whether it's like you said, talking to them, making ourselves available, sharing our knowledge and our experience. And I think that is invaluable. And I think it says a lot about a person and their character. Just I'll touch back once more on that. The families that are making, you know, making progress, like, damn, help the other ones out. Like, it's not even just about, you know, the other families, it's like the whole movement and what's going on. I know if you know, success comes in the legal side from my brother's case, I know my family, like, that's one of the things that we would automatically want to do is give back and help the movement and the other families. So that's one of the reasons I love you, Laurie. You will say things that other people are not willing to, and some don't want to hear it. There's a couple comments. We've gotten a lot of families on. So hello to all the families who are joining. I know a lot of people liked what Laurie just said. Let's see, we got a comment, Miss Grant. Yes, they're saying when you get out of hell, you turn around and extend your hand and help the next person up and out. Got Marissa, that's the other Marissa, exactly. Jenny Ruiz, Tina Marie, justice for all the babies. And then we got Barbara Okamoto. She's asking who decides they are high profile. And I'm just gonna say once more, you know, it's a crazy world where we got a lot of people seemingly caring about police brutality, organizations all about it, but a lot of them are not listening or supporting the impacted family members or letting them have space or speak. So we're having to be out here doing it ourselves. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that and turn it back to you, Laurie. But I thank you for sharing that information and your opinion on that.
Yeah, I'm, you know, like I said, I was all alone. I didn't have nobody. And I know that after Antonio was killed, I reached out to every single family in San Jose, just paid attention to what the media said, where it was at, drove area, and I found it because, you know, you could tell. And it's important that you approach them families and let them know, like, you know, share, you know, Philip Watkins' mom, Sharon, I remember when he was killed, I went to the area and I realized that's the house because I seen chalk writings in the door, and I brought a tray of food and I brought a stuffed animal, a little teddy bear for his daughter because I heard that he had her, right? So it was just something I did. And so I went and introduced myself, and then Sharon was up in the upstairs, and she, you know, like, she was hurting. She had just lost son. So I told them just, you know, that I would like to extend my condolences and offer my support because, like her, my family had been impacted the year prior, and just wanted to leave her my number and stuff. So I remember that day, you know, like, Sharon came down and she was totally distraught, and I introduced myself, hugged her. And so she asked me to go with her to where the area down the, like a little bit away from the house where she's at, where they killed her son, because they had a memorial there, right? She hadn't went with nobody else, but she went with me. And I remember how I felt her trembling, and I could feel like she hugged me and her hands were trembling, and I could feel her when she hugged me. I could feel the pain from her heart, what she was feeling to my chest, you know, like I could feel it. And it was like, and it was like, no family should walk alone, you know, no family should feel like they're alone. So I let her know, I know it's soon. This is all, but you know, I'm here to help you. If you want to have a vigil and have the community come and you have support, I have people that are, you know, will come out here and support and stuff. I said, but you let me know. And I gave her my number, said, call me any time of day. And I remember she says, no, I don't know. I don't think I'm ready for it. I said, okay, so what, whenever you feel like it, just let me know. I'll help, right? And I remember she called me at 2:35 in the morning. And I'm like sleeping. I'm like, hello. And she told me, yes, I want to do a vigil. Can you help me do it? So that same morning, I woke up and called everybody, and we got a vigil going. We called the media, and, you know, we were able to do it for her real quick. And it meant a lot to her, you know, and from that day forward, I've been, you know, it was her, and then it was, you know, the next person, the next family. And it's just been something that it helps me stay stronger by me getting our families together. And now we're, all of the families work together. We are a family. We stick together, we work together, and we figure out how we can change things within our community here, and then whatever we want to jump on the state level with legislation and stuff. But it's important, like Santa Clara County, the families that we have, there's 13 of us together, right? We work together. We have monthly meetings. We do them Zoom. We used to have a monthly meeting breakfast that debug and talk, and we'd laugh, we'd cry, whatever. You know, we're there for each other. If we know what that family's status of their cases, if they're going to go to court, deposition, we help and we want to support each other, you know, and that's what's so important. Like some families don't have any support. They're going to these courts by themselves. Empty courtrooms is where the judges are going to say, well, nobody cares about this, we'll just watch this case. But when they see packed courtrooms where the community is showing, hey, we want justice for this family, they're going to do something. You know, they're going to really try to prove that they're really doing the right thing. So it is important that families support one another and not turn their back. Like, I'm sorry, but like in San Jose, we have a lot of Latino families, we have Black families, and we have white families, we have Vietnamese families. So, you know, all our pain is the same. And we all feel like we all need justice, and we all need to make a difference somehow. And it's not one family is more important than the other family. It's all of us or none of us, you know?
Yeah, and I want to give an extra shout out. I meant to do it earlier when we mentioned debug, but I think that's really awesome that, you know, you found that you connected with them and that they've been solid and good to the families. And just, it's sad that, you know, you said there's 13 families out there, but it's really sad that that's, you know, that's what brought you guys together in that community. But I definitely agree with everything you said about having that support. And I think I admire what you guys are doing out there, and having each other's backs. It's definitely needed. And then also thank you for mentioning that, you know, the diversity of the families out there, and, you know, that goes for across the nation, the diversity of people that are killed by police. Every killing is important. And, you know, we live in this weird world, and people act like, you know, some of these killings are more important, and it sometimes seems like a popularity contest, which is just ridiculous when that's what we're talking about is people's lives.
Yeah, and if they want to have that popularity contest of whose person I'd rather have on your back, and they could go with their, you know, like, I don't want to be popular, and if people want to get fame, I don't want to be famous because I'm having to fight a system that won't do the right thing, or because Antonio's dead. I'd rather have Antonio here and not ever have to have dealt with this shit, you know? Like, there's enough stuff in this world to deal with than to have to deal with, fighting a system that's supposed to be working for us, yet they don't want to be accountable to us.
Yeah, and I just want to point that out again, like, hey, this isn't fun for us. We didn't wake up one day like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go fight against the police and the government. We didn't do that. We're here, and it's actually what we do is, it's not safe. It's dangerous. Our loved ones are already killed at the hands of police, and it's been covered up by multiple agencies. There's many people involved, and it goes deep. So what we're doing and speaking out and supporting other families, we're making noise, Laurie. We are, and I don't know if people understand that comes with dangers too. Like, we can be targets for speaking out against murderers.
Exactly. And that is true. Like, you put yourself out there, like when, you go someplace and the cops know you, like here, Santa Clara County, all the police departments over here know me. They know my Jeep, but I got rid of it recently, so they are going to be surprised. They're not going to know what I'm in now. But it's like, I used to I got pulled over many times just because of the window decal I had on it, and I would call the cops out on it. And sometimes, they'd get irate with me and I'd get afraid, but I said, okay, so you pulled me over, so you have no reason to pull me over, so have a nice day. And I would drive off. Like, that could have been a situation where the cop said he could have shot at me, but they knew what they did was illegal for them to, just harass me because of what I had on my window. So it's like when you're in here, you're basically putting yourself, if you speak up against them, you're basically putting yourself out there, because you will be a target, and they will try to figure out any way they can. They will use your record. They will look for dirt. They will do whatever they can to try to discredit what you're saying, And that's why I laugh, because I know they tried to find something on me when all this with Antonio to shut me up. And I would laugh because I don't have a criminal record. So go for it, look for it. You're not going to find shit. But, it's like, I've told them, like, if you don't like and I've told many officers at many forums, if you don't like what I'm saying, and you prove wrong, when you prove me wrong of what I'm saying from my personal experience, I'll be quiet, even apologize publicly if you want that I was wrong. But until then, you guys need to get used to this space, because I ain't going nowhere, and I'm going to keep on you guys until you guys break and somebody really has the balls to do something, And it's like some of the cops, they get irate with me and they get their attitudes, and I'll laugh at them like, this is a safe place. We need to be able to talk about these things. These are uncomfortable conversations that need to happen, And if you wonder why, and they hate when you challenge them like that, because they do. They get mad.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we got to watch it too with
Oh, go ahead.
I said, and we got to make sure that the families, that we're paying attention to the cops, that we keep record of the cops in our community that are beating people up. Make sure you're that point where people know they can come to you in your community. Like me, I get people messaging me, oh, there's, police activity here. Somebody get out there, like teams, community response teams that can go out there and record and witness and know how to help. Like, yeah. We got to be train our communities. We need to form them, educate them on what they can do and their rights on how to do things, right? Because it's important, because as long as these officers have body cameras, as long as they have control of them, there's no way in hell you're going to tell me they're going to give us the whole video. They'll edit them, even though they don't. It's just crazy. And then once they know they're caught and you keep pushing, they'll either put a gag order or they'll put a restraining order on the family member, so they can keep them away from stirring up waters,
Yeah. Yeah, and as I speak to more families, everything you just mentioned, all too common, all too common. And it gets to the point, to me, I'm like, okay, nothing's changing. They keep killing people, they keep covering it up. Everybody knows. So they want these killings to keep happening, um, or something. So it's some crazy stuff. Laurie, so I want to share with people again, remind people about Justice for Josiah. You guys can go to justiceforjosiah.org and get more information there. Anything you want to say about that, Laurie?
I know there's just for Josiah is about, things that go on. It's basically, it's like a kind of like a information, and it's a story of what Josiah's been through. So there's videos of Antonio when Josiah was a baby, the very few I have of him. There's videos of what Josiah has been through, of him crying, ones that I was able to capture, things that he went through, stories, stuff that happened. It's been like a diary type of a thing, so people can be aware. And a lot of people said, why you want people to see your son suffering? I said, because people need to see it, because behind closed doors, people don't think there's kids suffering. My son's suffering is not going to go unnoticed, and nobody's going to tell me. They're going to ignore it and not try to help do something, because these kids are most vulnerable. And it's going to take a village to help heal these children, because nobody even addressing it. Still, to this day, in our senators, legislators, they don't address the children that are left traumatized. We're not addressing that. We're trying to do police accountability, but let's stop focusing. Maybe we need to stop focusing on trying that, because that's like, we're going to have to do it each individually in our own communities and try to fight the city management, the contracts they have with the city. Mm-hmm. That's one way. Get involved in your city, see what's going on in your communities, get involved in those meetings and have your say, because that's where locally you can make a difference. And statewide, well, we can attack those once we get the local ones though, but we need to focus. The bigger picture is we need to focus on our children. We need to figure out how to heal them, how to invest more in their healing, in their education, in the support services they need, and how to help these families to be okay, and let the police be responsible and pay for any kind of, trauma, because the kids are going to be re-traumatized over and over again. Like it's not fair. And we talk about trauma, we talk about but do they understand the trauma that police cause children? When they're so young, it does change their brain wiring, and it's a proven fact. It's a medical fact. Even the Surgeon General Nadine Burke of California, she even talks about trauma and the rewiring of a child's brain when trauma happens so young. But she refers to like 2 out of 3 children do that, but 2 out of 3 children, those including the children like Josiah.
Gosh.
So people need to be aware, like when we're talking about trauma, the trauma data they got of trauma that they get, none of these kids are kids that are affected by police. Why aren't we including that data? Those are the things that I've been advocating for, like I'm getting data for that, because it's important to me. I don't want my son to be a statistic. I don't want him to grow up a broken man and think it's okay to go and become a cop and then want to kill people just because, I don't want his trauma to lead him to end criminal justice system, because nobody gave a shit to help him heal. And that's what to me is his healing, and that somebody responsibility and accountability for the person who took his dad's life, and that they are held responsible. And every single damn person who helped covered it up, like it goes many levels, and maybe one day all the families, we can do a class action lawsuit in California against the government who has condoned to this behavior and continues to condone, because they don't do nothing to change or make substantial laws that are going to really enforce the accountability that the families need, so the healing can begin. And so we don't have to have more families and more children traumatized,
Yes, absolutely. And the class action lawsuit with the families involved, definitely something that I think is important for us to work on and, you know, do it together with all of our cases. I also want to recognize, as we're speaking about the children left behind by police killings, by their parents, their fathers or mothers being killed, I want to recognize and give some honor to the kids that are killed by police. Children are also killed by police, guys. And we just, Carlos Mataka, he just named Andy Lopez. RIP. There are a lot of kids killed by police too. Too many.
Yeah, there was a E.B. Madrigal, Elena Madrigal, you know, she was a 15-year-old or 16-year-old teen in Fremont killed by police, you know. There's so many of them, and it's like, really, do they really have to? These are children, like, you know.
And then these cases are going silent as well, and it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I also, yeah, sorry. I also want to, as we were sharing about, you know, you saying the kids, they need help, they need resources, therapy, things like that to help them. I want to also, I'm not sure, us families know, but I want the viewers also to know that when our loved ones are killed by police, we do not get any type of help. We can't we can apply for the government assistance for victims of violent crimes, because they automatically name our loved ones, even when they were not. They automatically name them as suspects, and they don't get that. We don't get that type of help either, that people normally can when their loved ones are murdered.
Yes, that's true. You automatically are disqualified because they put the victim as the officer, and once the victim is put the officer, then that means your loved one has to be the victim in order for the family to qualify for counseling service, for any kind of support services. And they purposely do it like that because they know that the families, you know, won't qualify that way. And so that's another thing. We need to get that victim witness out of the DAs, because that's where it's at. It's always in the DA's office, and the DAs are the ones that do these cases. So we need to figure out how to get those kind of departments out of the out from under the DA supervision and get it into an outside entity that is not affiliated with the police. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot that we can do locally in our communities.
Absolutely. That's goodness. All of this. And, you know, as we do, we share, there's a lot. And I want to remind people too, there's not many people working for this. We are impacted family members, and we're here having to do footwork with investigating our crime, our loved ones killing even. And, you know, we don't have resources. We don't have the experience, the knowledge, the money to just make this shit happen. And it's a challenge. It's difficult.
Yep.
Okay, so we got a couple more names. Carmen Mendez. This is from Carlos. So these are more victims killed by police. Carmen Mendez, George Floyd. He shared those names on here. And then I want to give a, you know, extra shout out to the families who are on there. Please share your loved one's name in the comments. When we do videos like this, we're talking about our loved ones, but this is for all of our loved ones and all of us who are impacted. Laurie, so it's just a few minutes after 6. Is there anything else you want to share with viewers or share about Antonio's case, or maybe next steps with you?
Well, right now, on Antonio's case right now, I have some people who are helping me go through it, because there's things in the video that I don't know if people have noticed, but you have to look. I can't look at the video again because it really it's bothersome to me. You know, it hurts, and it hurt bad. So, but there's things that are being done in that video that my friends, the people are helping me go through it. You know, with the fine tooth, like picking up the little pieces that people miss, right? And some of the stuff, the theatrics and the stuff in that video and the manipulation that a certain officer is doing, and how he's like the whole scene in that whole, you know, he's one of the officers who was involved, and he's like basically taking control and making the scene look the way he wants to, because he's at that time and point, he was a legal law clerk for the county district attorney. So he was working as a legal law clerk. So he knew exactly what to do to make the scene look so it can be, you know, able to justify his way. But he was also the one involved, and he was taking pictures of the scene. He was removing things from the scene, and he did things and said things purposely to, you know, like make it look the way they wanted it to look, but not the way it really was. You know what I'm saying? So, and that fool, Vander Hoek, was offered as at the DA's office here in Santa Clara County, but because when I was bringing up the fact he was working, it couldn't have been a conflict of interest, like they wouldn't answer me until he got sworn into Yolo County. It wasn't until after he was sworn in Yolo County that they finally sent me a letter and admitted that he had been working there, but he was no longer working there. But it wasn't until he was sworn in over there. Up until that point, they kept on trying to avoid answering me that Vander Hoek was working there, you know? So that's another thing, you know, these cops move around, and you got to want moving to. So now he's in another position of even more power. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, so I want to point this out with the viewers. So one of the officers involved with the killing of Antonio was able to participate in the picture taken of the evidence, was able to touch the body and move things around to manipulate it to look as they wanted it to appear. And that is just, you know, wrong in every way. Legally, that is not supposed to happen. And then as she's sharing about him, the same officer, he became a assistant deputy DA in Yolo County. Well, Yolo County is also the county that my brother was killed in. So they sent one killer cop after Laurie shared how they were keeping that info from her. Then they sworn him in over here in Yolo County in a different area of California as an assistant deputy DA. So like Laurie said, they get moved around. Like, he's a killer cop, and now he's over here in my community calling shots. You know, it's all wrong. There are so many wrongs that happen to all of our families.
and the thing about it is, he was sworn in May 3rd of, you know, 2015 in Yolo County. He wasn't cleared from the case yet till the end of May. So how in the hell did they swear him in knowing that there was still an open case on him? And he's still, you know what I'm saying? Like, they knew, like, how can you swear in somebody at another department, you know, in another county, knowing he has an open case for a homicide case? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you have to pay attention to who all the actors are in these, you know, homicides, because that's what they do. They act like they're doing something, but they're just playing the part because they don't really abide by the law themselves. They don't follow the rule. Both officers were out of policy when they approached Antonio. They were both CIT trained, and neither one of them used their CIT training. Officer Santos had his taser in one hand and his gun in the other hand, and you're not supposed to do that either. And that's there. So, you know, there's so much in that video that, you know, I've seen a few things, but I can't see it all in detail. But my friends have caught that totally contradict what statements and what things are being said in the actual DA report. So what it tells me is the DA basically took verbatim whatever the officers report and stuff like that, and they just manipulate, you know, like changed it around a little bit, added a little bit more of their own. But I guarantee you, no investigation was probably even really done in Antonio's case. They just acted like they did because they could have missed so much stuff in that video that my friends have brought to my attention, but stuff that I've caught. Like, how do you not catch that? And how do you say it was justified when there's all these different things that happen and shouldn't have happened? So, you know, the case, you know, they of course, you know, dropped our case in summary judgment. We appealed it, and they, you know, they dropped our case again, but there's it's not over. You know, the case is gonna get reopened, I guarantee you, because there's so much in what I have so far, and I pretty much know that there's more. And now I found that witness, Larissa, where she's at. I have her address, and just have to figure out how to get her to give a, you know, like a statement, have it notarized, or have somebody go over there and talk to her, you know.
Yeah.
And because that right there, and whatever evidence she has, you know, because nobody ever got her statement.
Gosh, so much footwork. This happened again for those watching 2014, and this woman is here still having to fight, still fighting, finding new information, and Laurie is not going anywhere.
Yeah, they haven't even returned any of his belongings. It's still what, we're gonna go on 7 years, and I still don't have any of his belongings returned to me yet.
And there are, you know, these videos are for people to hear our stories. These videos are for the families, us, and they are for the new families and older families who, you know, this is knowledge, this is stuff that could be useful to them. And the belongings thing is something that always comes up. We oftentimes don't get the belongings to our loved ones back. Like some of us just absolutely don't get them back. When one of the belongings that we got back from my brother, just after about 3 years, we got it back, and it was his phone, and they got the information they wanted from it. Then they crushed it into hundreds of pieces, and that's how we get treated. That's just a small example, just for people who might, families out there, you know, just stuff to know. We had a couple families, a couple names from family members. Barbara shared her grandson's name, Christopher Alexander Okamoto. We have Karen, my son Shane Sutherland was killed by Stockton, California PD on October 8th of this year. He was unarmed and no threat. They are murderers.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Karen. That was my birthday, October 8th.
Yeah, and Karen, you know, hello to you. I got to speak with her recently, and you know, just we're here as family members that you can reach out to.
Reach out to me, Marissa, if you need support, you need anything from us. We're here for you. You know, I live in Santa Clara, but you know, whatever I can do to help or get you the support out there, be guaranteed me and Marissa will be doing to get out there to you and help you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So, and then any family members, if you guys have been inviting, you know, there's hundreds of family members on my Facebook. So as I'm doing these, I'm encouraging you guys, if you guys would like to come on and share your story like Laurie and the others have done. I'm one message away, or I'm probably about to message you guys soon to invite you, but there are so many of us. So just reach out if you guys would like to share. And Laurie, I just want to give you a big thanks and commend you for your work, your years long worth of work so far. And I know it's life work for us now. You're awesome, and you've been a great help to me personally too. So we appreciate you.
Thank you, Marissa. I want to let everybody know that on Christmas this year, it'll be one of our family members, loved one, Jennifer Vasquez, was killed on Christmas, and it was her parents' only daughter. They have 2 sons, but this was their youngest daughter. And so Christmas, you know, when it should be a time to be happy, be aware that there's family, you know, like Christmas will never be the same for this family. And for everybody to remember on Christmas Day to send love and mention Jennifer Vasquez's name for her parents, Maria and Jesus, because you know, they're hurting. They'll probably do a small vigil where she was killed. They're, you know, but it's really sad. It's like every time I think about Christmas, I think about that family, because it'll never be the same for them. You know, that was the day they lost their daughter. So for people to send love and prayers to the Vasquez family, because they are very dear and close. They're very sweet people, and you know, they're dear to my heart. So I want the families to please remember Jennifer Vasquez and say her name on Christmas Day. Remember that somebody's child was killed on Christmas Day.
Thank you, Laurie. I remember Jennifer Vasquez, and I remember when that happened. And I did also get to meet her parents briefly at the Capitol this
Mhm.
year. That's just another example of how great Laurie is, you know, just trying to remember these families, especially families that cases don't get much attention, and it's important. So
Yeah.
goodness. And also I want to just remind everybody too, if you guys have any events coming up, or whether you're in California or across the country, if you guys just, I can help share it however I can. I got lots of families and different kind of activists on, you know, my social media now. So, and I can share it from the Voices of Strength page if you guys need any help boosting some stuff. Okay, well, we'll wrap this up. Thank you, Laurie. I always love chatting with you. And everybody who left comments and joined, thank you guys for being here. Next week, we'll be here again with another family. And for anybody who would like to catch up on episodes, I'll have the link. We are posting these to YouTube as well. So there are 4 prior episodes. And yeah, I will have it all posted and connected. All right. Thank you guys so much. Laurie, okay, you take care, and I'll see you in person soon.
Yeah, see you in person soon, or talk soon too. Okay, yeah. Bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
Love ya.
Love you too. Love you guys all. Bye.